Seventh star begins the count. Takes the snap. He's got the quarterback sneaking. He's down the back. And the Green Bay Packers are going to be world champions.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. If you'd like to email the show, you can send a message to PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. And we've got a special Chalk Talk edition of the show tonight. Got my good friend, Mr. Coach Hahn, on here with us. How you doing today, Coach?
Hey, I'm great, man. I'm just ready to talk some ball. How are you?
Dude, I'm good, man. I tell you, this was like exercising the demons going through this game tape, right? It's like I just had to take my medicine, right? And the whole time, especially me being one of those guys that has defended Rodgers, and it was one of those games that it's like, man, there's just not much to defend here. Although we did find, one or two good, positives out of the game. And just to kind of give everybody a warning with this Chalk Talk episode, there's going to be some negative. You don't lose to the Lions and only score 9 points and not be some negative. Right. It's just something that's not going to happen. So, or however many points. How many points did they end up scoring? Do you know, Coach?
Yeah. What was it? 15-6?
15. Is that what it? Yeah. 15-6. Right. So, whew, man, it was ugly. But let's do this. We're going to kind of go in chronological order, guys. And first of all, thanks for everybody listening on the pod here on Thursday afternoon. Thanks everybody tuning in on Twitter and on YouTube Live. We're going to do our best. We're going to hold each other accountable and try to explain a little bit better this week so the pod is a little more fluid. It's funny, we get to geeking out over the footage. We're going, man, look at him right there. Look at that right there. Look on the pod, they're going, what are we looking at? What are we looking at? So let's get right into it, man. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to talk about the very first play here, which, we picked 5 plays, gang, and what we wanted to do is kind of talk about the flow of the game and kind of how things went wrong. And it was so frustrating going back through this because we had so many opportunities to win this game. And it was like the Lions were all day long, we're going, here, just take the game already, take the win. And they just never did it. But we're going to start in the first quarter. It was 4:23 left. It was 0-0, and it was a 1st and goal play. And I think that's the hardest thing to stomach about this play, Coach. It's 1st and goal, and you throw an interception. So if you guys haven't caught on, this is the Aaron Rodgers helmet plunk. As I said on the postgame show, looked like he probably put the linebacker or whoever it was that the ball hit him in the head in the concussion protocol. I mean, it was a shot right to the dome. But what we had here, guys, was a 1st and goal look from the 5-yard line, and it was a gun 11, strong right, Z-tight, halfback same. And to the best of my knowledge, and I really struggled with this, Coach, I'm eager to get your take on this. I'm calling it an RPO zone right peak. But when you watch the way that Aaron, as we unfold this play, to me, I don't even feel like he's reading anything. It was like he made his mind up right off the bat. This is going to be a play action pass. Did you get the same vibe?
As we watch the center release here, for those on the pods, the center is going to go downfield to the backside inside backer. Detroit's in a 4-front here with their overhang walked up. And then the backside inside backer is going to be the responsibility of center Jon Runyan, center Josh Myers. So Josh Myers actually releases about 4 yards downfield. He has no idea it is a pass. So this is definitely an RPO, but you are absolutely right, Clayton, in the fact that Rodgers had his mind made up pre-snap that the running back was not going to get this ball, and that's because Detroit tricked him. They did a really, really nice job of tricking Rodgers, of baiting him into putting this ball where it had to be, and we'll be able to show you just exactly how they did that, how they gave him the candy he wanted, but unfortunately there's a razor blade in it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm just going to kind of hit on a few notes, and I'm going to turn it over to you so you can share your screen. And I don't want to cut into anything that you wanted to cover, but I did just want to kind of confirm that's what I seen, an RPO zone right peak. And what I mean by peak, guys, this is designed from the RPO aspect as we go to the camera behind the line of scrimmage. Is the idea is to read that back line of defense right there. And if they bite on this run, then you're going to try to shoot this ball in there to the slant, right? And honestly, Lazard is open on this slant. He really is. But like we just talked about, if you watch Aaron on this real close, he's not reading anything. He's looking at the back. He's selling the play fake, and he knows I'm throwing the ball. That's why I wanted to ask Coach. Now, like Coach pointed out, the fact that Myers gets to the next level, I mean, that tells you he was expecting a run there. I mean, that's that could very well be a run. Let me ask you this, Coach. Is there not a penalty involved there when a center gets that far down the line, that far beyond the line of scrimmage when you throw that pass? Would that not be ineligible, or what's the rule there? Do you know right off?
No, that's totally illegal. Yeah,
Yes.
it's just something that Green Bay and a lot of teams have been doing for a long time. We have a saying, make the ref throw the flag, make the ref see it. It's a tough thing to see. Boom, boom. So we cheat all the time as an offensive staff. Our defensive staff hates it, because we'll see it from time to time. But yeah, we cheat all the time, and we do it on purpose. We'll free release, and if it so happens to get called once or twice, like, oh well, we'll eat our 5 yards because we know we get some really explosive plays off of it. So should be a penalty.
Yeah, as we say down here in the South, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? That's the way it goes.
I hear you, man.
So for me, like I said, Aaron decides he's going to pass the ball. It's going to be a play fake, a play action pass. He's not even going to read anything. And what's crazy is there's no throwing window there. But when you look at how quick he has to snap his head back to make this throw, I mean, there's no time to adjust. I mean, you're trying to hit that window. At this point, hindsight being 2020, me being the fat Caucasian guy sitting on the couch going, this is what I would have done. You'd like to think he could see that window and just say, just a little pop pass, just put a little air under it, right? And get it right over the top there to Lazard. But again, that's 100% on Aaron Rodgers. There's no two ways about it. From the fact that he went away from the RPO right off the bat to where he put the ball right in the face mask of the defender, of course, it getting picked. And if you watch Lazard adjust here too, Coach On, it's like you could tell Lazard's having to reach behind him anyway. The ball was going to be behind him regardless. It was just a bad throw. And, people don't want to hear it. I kind of look at it and go, okay, is this the thumb? Because we've seen consistently now for 2 weeks is Aaron Rodgers underthrowing receivers, right? And to me, that's indicative of, okay, there's some pain there. There's lack of strength, lack of grip. And I think that's why he's underthrowing receivers the way he is. And it's funny because earlier in the season, he's overthrowing receivers. And then the last 2 weeks, now he's underthrowing receivers. But I'm going to pass it off to you now as I went through the footage there on my part. So what we're going to do is share your screen and let's kind of get your take on it, man.
All right. Sounds good. Again, for the listeners on the pod, that's usually my bad. I apologize for that. I'm usually the one saying, look at this dude. But we're going to take a look at the Packers are in a tight end set, as Clayton said, what we just simply call on over right. They've got a tight end attached to the line on the right side, and then a wing just off of that tight end. You got A.J. Dillon in the backfield offset to Rodgers' right. And then you got Lazard as the on receiver split out wide about 5 yards. And then Watkins to the very top of the screen split out a little bit wider. He's off the line. And what Detroit has done is really, really intelligent. You did a really good job, Clayton, just kind of describing this. However, this isn't inside zone right. This isn't zone right at all. Actually, it's a play called duo, which is kind of a counter action to zone, because you can add a gap to the backside with that tight end and then even add another one with the wing. What Detroit did was really awesome. If we look at the top side of the screen for those on the pod, they're playing man across the board. You can see all 11 defenders within 4 yards of the football. So they're not even in hiding that they're playing man. On the very top of the screen, you have a cornerback with inside leverage against Sammy Watkins at the very top. So he's going to take away any in-breaking route, force the more difficult throw to the outside. The really fascinating thing is how what would be your strong side safety has drilled down to an even stance on Allen Lazard. He's essentially giving Allen Lazard the inside release. And Rodgers kind of sees this pre-snap and gets a little giddy. We can see right here on the film, he sees the safety drill down. I think that's intentional by Detroit to even bait him into seeing the safety drill down, sees him in an even technique, and he's like, oh yeah, there's no way A.J. Dillon's getting the ball. And I'll show you why as I fast forward my film. I just wanted to show you that alignment here. I'm going to actually show you what he's seeing from the end zone view so that we're all on the same page here. What he's really looking at is that side inside linebacker. And what Detroit has is what we call a 2-eye, or an inside shade defender between that left guard and center. And that 2-eye is going to put his hands on the guard. And then they have a wide 9 in Aiden Hutchinson, who's going to hold that C gap outside of David Bakhtiari. So what Rodgers is looking at is these two cats right here, these two outside linebackers, I guess, if you will, right here And right here, that's an invert safety. That's an inside-outside linebacker who's playing tucked in. And the way Rodgers is thinking right now is this cat right here is now responsible for B gap and for that little glance, what you call a glance, we call it a slip route from Allen Lazard. And Rodgers sees like, hey, that corner or that safety drill down is going to give Lazard an inside release. So we're going to score here. This backer is going to have to walk up, play that B gap on duo. There's no way he can play B gap on duo and stay back there for any sort of pass breakup or get into a throwing window. But Detroit has kind of schemed this up really well. They're going to take this 2 ID tackle that I had mentioned inside of the guard, and they're going to let him go ahead and get hands on the guard, and then he's going to play a peek technique where he can look A gap or B gap. And what that's going to do is slow this backside inside backer down. He doesn't have to play both gap, or he doesn't have to crash downhill into B gap now. So we watch this film develop. You'll see him take that hard step, and then he's just going to sit. These are fit freeze rules, but they're actually playing it to the or away from the offset back. Usually these rules are played way back here somewhere in case, you know, this were to slip out or maybe that tight end were to hit a corner or something like that. That's where we usually play freeze rules, meaning that defender isn't going to actually fill into the box super quickly. Instead, he's going to freeze and wait for the play to develop and try to go into a throw window. You don't usually see an RPO away from the back because the mesh point gets all messed up. And you mentioned Rodgers' head into the mesh point where he's not even looking. He's just really trying to ride this duo look. And he's just kind of guessing that Lazard is going to be back here, and he will. He'll be open on that inside release because Detroit has given that to him. But watching this backer, he knew what was coming. Okay, this is just a simple trap coverage. Right here, we can watch him redirect, and there's no way for him to actually react to that as soon as he sees that Rodgers stands up. He's already opened up. So that's not a reaction. That tells me right away this is trap, that they've actually run a trap coverage here to get him into that throwing window. My guess is, Clayton, they took a look at this, a lot of Packers film, and they thought, we're going to bait Rodgers. There's no way he can look at this in the low red zone and not take this throw. There's no way he can see inside leverage and not take it because he's made a living on it time and time and time again, and he's embarrassed a lot of teams in the NFL with it. So my guess is they just trapped him. Watching it back here from the sideline view, we can see that backer stop. You can notice right now, buddy, they're not even through the mesh point in the backfield, and this linebacker is not filling B gap. He is stopped. He is sitting in that throw window waiting for this baby to come, so he just gets his hands up. He's really hoping to pick it. But if he can get his hands up and break it up, that's just as good. And he pops that sucker sky high into the air, and then the rest is history. So really, really nice trap by Detroit, and a really tough job by Green Bay not being prepared for it or just taking that bait.
Awesome. Good stuff. And Coach, you can keep your screen up if you'd like. That's fine. I was going to say I can toggle it on and off for you, but we'll do that moving forward, whatever's easier, you know.
Sorry about that, buddy.
That's good stuff. And really, when you watch the tape, if they went back and watched a 4-game saturation, which is typically what NFL teams do, coaching staffs do, they'll go back and watch a 4-game saturation or maybe the last 2 head-to-head matchups. They're looking at Rodgers going, yeah, he's going to try to take this touchdown pass. And what sucks so bad about it is first and goal. First and goal. I mean, you had 3 shots from the 5-yard line to get it in. And, it's okay to kick a field goal too, just so everybody knows, right? I mean, we passed up on so many field goals. When I say passed up, being too aggressive like this down inside the 5. But 100% that error was on Rodgers, and you're going to hear that said over and over tonight. Let's move on to the next one, Coach. This next one, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And this one came let's see, it was the second quarter, 14:58 left. Guys, the score was still 0-0 at the start of the second quarter. And this was a 4th and goal play. Now, I don't have so much of a problem with an interception happening on 4th and goal as I do a 3rd and goal, or like we just seen a 1st and goal. At the same time, though, the whole purpose of going for it inside the 5 is if you don't get it, you've got their offense pinned back to where you can still capitalize on the field position, make them make a mistake. Might even get a safety, get the possession right back. There's a lot of different things that can come into play. But when you turn the ball over in the end zone, touchback, they get the ball back. I mean, it's just bad fundamentals all the way around. This is the stuff that we have not ever seen from Aaron Rodgers, and we talked about it on the post-game show ad nauseum. But let's just kind of go right to it. And what we see here is we set up the play. Again, second quarter, 14:58, 0-0, 4th-and-goal play. It ends up being an interception, and it's really just a horrible underthrow by Aaron Rodgers. But the play, I would call it ace 11, jumbo wing, strong right. Bakhtiari, the left tackle, is going to report as eligible, and it's a play action shoot mesh left tackle leak is how I would describe this play. So as he comes to the line here, you can see, first of all, with the jumbo wing, what I mean by that, guys, really cool formation. I know Coach Hahn probably got really excited about this one. You've got basically your normal offensive line, and you've got an extra tackle on the right side at tight end, as well as your tight end, which, to the best of my knowledge, was Mercedes. So this is Big Dog on the right, one of the best blocking tight ends in the entire game. So essentially, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 offensive line is what you've basically got. Now, as this play starts, Coach, obviously, there's multiple options to this play, and I think that's what got away from me in real time and other people as we watched this unfold. It kind of felt like this play was just designed to go to Bach right off the bat. And when I watched it back, I was kind of surprised because what you see here is we roll it here. For those of you listening on the pod, it's a little half-hearted play fake to the right, but you can see Aaron looks right first. To me, it looks like, as you see the play unfold, there's a mesh concept in the middle of the field where you basically got the receiver on each side of the line. On one side, you got Lazard. The other side, you got Sammy Watkins. They're going to mesh. They're going to have a mesh point right in the middle of the end zone, but the play doesn't even get that far. And then, of course, the play action shoot was what I would have referred to as a shoot route, is as you do the little half baby fake to the running back, he's just going to run a little shoot route, which is a lot like a flat. It's just kind of a slant right to the outside, straight to the sideline. And you're going to try to make them make a decision. The only problem with this play is, yes, you've got multiple options. I think the design was to look right first, but you have that delayed leak by the left tackle who reported as eligible on the left side. But immediately, Coach, this play gets blown up right at the line of scrimmage. And you can see Zach Tom here at right guard. And as the play unfolds, I don't know. I'm eager to hear your take on this. But as the play unfolds, because they come up, they've got a hat on a hat everywhere on the line of scrimmage. And Zach Tom at right guard, for those of you watching on YouTube, is right here. And you can see as soon as the ball snapped, quick jab step to the left, and he is just eat alive. So Rodgers turns his back to the line of scrimmage, and when he turns around, there's a defender in his face. And on top of that, going back to the other camera view, you can tell when he looks right, he can tell, all right, the shoot is covered. They've got press on Lazard. Not that you would go there anyway. In my opinion, the idea would be to go to the shoot first and then try to catch Sammy on the backside. If you notice all that's covered up, then you're just going to dump it to Bach, put as much air under it as you possibly can, and get it to the big left tackle on the left side. I personally wasn't a big fan of the play call simply because of Bach's injury. I love the creativity, don't get me wrong, but these are some of the things that I personally believe that Aaron has talked about, was saying we're making things too complex. Don't get me wrong. He wants to throw a touchdown pass to his BFF. And all of Packers Nation, Coach, would have went absolutely livid if he'd have caught this touchdown pass. But as the play unfolds, like you say, Zach Tom here completely beat right off the line of scrimmage. And then Aaron Rodgers with arguably the worst pass I've ever seen him throw in his career, Coach. I mean, this thing, anyone who thinks he was trying to throw it to the goal line right there are kidding themselves. The goal was to get the ball, in my opinion, to Bach. And, it just never got there. So, a couple of negatives on the play. Again, Zach Tom, not his best rep. Coach, I got to say this, man. I don't think I've ever seen an offensive lineman play so well at tackle, but so bad at guard. Like when I see Tom at guard, he just looks so uncomfortable. You see him at left tackle, and it's like, this dude looks like he could take on the world at left tackle. And I can't wrap my mind around it. Maybe you see it different. But again, horrible pass from Aaron. 100% goes on 12. Bad look for Tom. I personally don't like that play call. On a 4th and goal too, I don't know, man. Take the points. That's the way I see it. If you come away with 3 on the drive that we just covered, you come away with 3 on this play or on this drive, you're up 6-0, getting into the deeper part of the second quarter. But what do you see here, Coach, as we share your screen?
Well, sure. Let me know as soon as you got my screen there, Clayton.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So I'm going to disagree with you here a little bit. Just on the play call itself, we run this from time to time when we want to get one of our guys a tutty, a left tackle or a right tackle or somebody that has done a lot of good stuff for us. And the reason there's a couple of reasons why I think this is designed all the way to Bach. Number one is the tempo that they come out with. So I'm going to run it ahead to the end zone view. So for those of you that are watching or listening on the pod, we're taking a look at the Packers break the huddle. They've just put a sixth lineman in, which allows Bach to report as eligible on that left side. And they're going to break the huddle with some pretty good tempo here. They're going to run up and get set. Rodgers under center, and they're going to go. They got Sammy Watkins to Bakhtiari's side. He is off the line, therefore making Bach eligible, which gives them now an unbalanced line. As the left guard now is essentially left tackle. The center is playing in the left guard spot. The right guard is essentially bumped over. Then you got tackle type of setup. So this is what we just call an unbalanced line. But they did a really nice job getting up and getting set so that Detroit couldn't really see it or couldn't communicate it in time. You'll notice this cat over here, number 5, I think he's the drill down safety. He sees it and he's like, hey, watch, this is unbalanced. And then as far as Tom goes, we'll talk about him in a moment. But for my money's worth, I would say this is absolutely a set play, run and designed to go to Bakhtiari, we definitely have Sammy Watkins here. He's going to run that shallow drag right across, almost a drive route across the middle. You are going to get a shoot route here. You're going to get Lazard on a little bit of clear. The reason that Rodgers is going to look that way is to keep the attention of the backside inside so he can't get nosy and drill down on Bach. And that's also going to let Hutchinson here as this wide 9. It's going to bait him up the field thinking that they're just going to run standard roll pass here. And then you're going to leak Bach out. We have this. There's a lot of teams that have this. They run some tackle throwback or Y throwback or variation of it. And we simply call it that. And it's a play that we rep trying to get that big dog a touch. And you've got to rep it. And we have just a one word rep for it. We'll call out our personnel. So in this case, it would just be, 11 personnel or jumbo personnel or whatever we want to call. And then we tag it with a series of letters. Ours was TWD. I can't tell you what that stands for. But it's just that play where it's like, sometimes you could call it the kid's last name and then tag special on it. So Bakhtiari special, you could call this just, hey, 11 or jumbo box special. Everybody knows exactly what their job is on that play. You're going to get out, you're going to run it. It's something you rep through the week. Everybody's excited for it, right? Because it's an exotic. So everybody's excited for it. They know what to do. For my money, that's what this is. I don't think he's actually ever really looking right. He's just selling that play fake. And I can tell that, because he's not reading anything here. As soon as he comes out of this, he's not actually looking at Aaron Jones. He's not actually looking at Lazard. He's got a little look off coming this way to get this backside inside backer flowing that way to stop him from being nosy. And then he's just going to not even set his feet. And it's just a little throwback pass like you see all the time. Problem is with this, it's going to work, right? I mean, tackle throwback always works and it's going to work. But Bach is just so doggone open. This is exactly where you want it to go. You don't want it to go to the goal line. You don't want it to go around any defenders. If anything, you want to put that ball back here and put it there with a little bit of air under it and let homie just go run under it, right? Like that's the way it's supposed to work. That's the way it's supposed to look. That's where the way we draw it up. We try to do these things all the time for those big dogs working so hard for us, and it's going to work. Like it's there. Like let's get a little air under it. Let's have a little fun with it. Unfortunately, that throw is way short. Aiden Hutchinson's just a freak athlete. The problem that we always run into is like it always works really, really, really poorly in practice because our dudes aren't very good on the scout team, right? So they're not like crashing up the field and being crazy like Aiden Hutchinson is here. They're just kind of hanging out even though they don't know it's coming. And we end up hitting them in the face with like a screen pass or a draw just because they're not good and they just stand in the way, right? Unfortunately for the Packers, it worked in the inverse here where nobody actually thought Aiden Hutchinson could redirect this fast and get under this football. But even if he didn't, you had a peeling D lineman who kind of sniffed it out as well. And it all goes back to that pre-snap communication from number 5 here where he's pointing. He's like, hey, unbalanced, eligible, unbalanced, eligible. So you had a little bit of an idea what was going on. Allowed that D tackle to crash over and allowed Aiden Hutchinson to crash to the backside where that ball has to get up and over them. So it's a bummer, man. I love the play call. But again, I'm an O-line coach, but I love the play call. I love everything about it. It's just, unfortunately, the ball wasn't thrown where it had to be.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even in the area code, man. It was bad. It was real bad, and you can even see kind of the trajectory of the ball stayed vertical too. It was, I don't know if it didn't come out of his hand right or what. It doesn't matter. It's still a bad throw, but golly. So again, why do we mention these in order, gang? It should have been 6-0 at this point minimum, right? If you protect the football. And Aaron throwing those 2 picks was crucial, and it really, I think, from a fan's perspective, and I know, Coach, you're not necessarily a fan of the Packers. From a fan's perspective and seeing how the year has gone, it's like immediately I thought in my mind, why are we trying to get cute? Why are we trying to get cute? But like you said, from an O-line coach's standpoint, it's get that big guy the ball, man. Come on, let's, and I get it. And again, if they had connected, oh my God, Packers Twitter would have went nuts on that for sure. So let's move along here. Let's go into the next play. And we've covered 2 negative plays, so let's get into a little bit of positive, Coach. Let's talk a little bit about the interception here. This came in the third quarter, 10:20 left, 10 minutes and 20 seconds left. We're down 8-0 at this point. This was a 1st and 10 for the Lions. Okay, so this is right here in the third quarter. This is Jair Alexander's interception, and this is kind of an exciting play, man. I really enjoyed breaking this one down. I was kind of impressed with what Detroit tried to do, although I think we would all agree they're not a very talented football team, which says a lot about the fact that the Packers lost to them. But what we had here, in my opinion, was a 21 tight eye, Y right, sugar motion, plus a play, and this is a play action cell climb is what I would call it, with a halfback shot. Now, or a halfback shoot, I should say. So what do I mean by all that? If you watch this play, now I'm going to go behind the line of scrimmage here to get a little bit better view. This is what I mean by the sugar motion. If you'll watch the tight end, I mean, he starts on the right side. We're kind of getting late here, right? He starts on the right side of the line of scrimmage, and he's somewhat flexed, but fairly close to the right tackle. He motions left all the way across the formation, and then comes all the way back across the right side. And when the ball is snapped, he's still on the left side of the quarterback, which is pretty impressive. And I don't know if this was Hutchinson in on this play or not. It's a big boy. It may have been Hutch. But essentially what you've got there is a play action pass. And what they're looking to do with this play, guys, as we roll it back in here on the pod, they're looking to run a climb and a cell. Now, I said a cell route. It's probably more of a corner than a cell, but I wonder if it was somewhat of an option route too. But out of this close eye here, this tight eye, play fake, you've got from the right side of the line of scrimmage is going to be a climb route. It's just basically a crosser, right? And then you've got on the left side, he's going to try to clear that out. And to the best of my knowledge, Coach, this looks like a cover 3 zone. I'm going to get your take here in a second and see if you think it is a cover 3. But what we're going to try to do is stretch the defense vertically and bring the crosser underneath. And, of course, the little halfback shoot off the play fake is you've got the shoot route on the left side as the safety valve, right? So as we go to the other copy here, and let's kind of see it from behind the line of scrimmage, when you look at Green Bay, they're in what I would consider a 34 bear. And what I mean by bear, personally, you got the safety in the box here. You got Darnell Savage playing in the box. So they're playing run heavy here on first down. They're saying, look, we're going to make you beat us with the pass. And when I first seen the interception, I went to roll the tape back. It really caught me by surprise that we were in a base defense because this was just such an explosive play on defense by the Packers. And what I seen, first of all, right off the bat, Coach, on this play fake, first of all the motion, you see Quay completely go across. They switch. And then as he comes back, look at the gap discipline on the defensive line. Like, that impressed me. That even with all that motion, I mean, you see the whole defensive line really take the run gaps away. Now, obviously, it's a play fake. And immediately what you get is pressure from Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary. Kenny Clark coming from he started off in the A gap on the right, which is what would you refer to this as a zero eye? Is that what you would call that, Coach?
Yeah, we just call that eye.
Eye. Okay. So out of an eye, which basically, guys, for those of you listening on the pod, zero technique is directly over the center. A one technique is in between the guard and the center. He's cheating a little bit towards the center as if he's playing nose, right? So as the motion comes across, the defensive front shifts right. They stay there at the snap, which that was by design by Detroit. They wanted to get them out of their comfort zone there. Kenny Clark beats his guy like a drum. He actually beats a double team here. So Kenny is actually in what we would consider the 3 technique, and he's going to beat his guy like a drum as he shifts over, comes out kind of wide, Great separation there. Off the other side, you've got Rashawn Gary beating his guy off the edge. He actually had a little bit of chip help, or was there for a chip help, but it turns into a release. And really, Goff knows I've got to get rid of this ball quick. And what's amazing about this, and what really makes this play go, is Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander shows on this play, as you guys see here, he's right up here. He's in what I would consider the third deep zone on that side of the field. And just watch his athleticism. First of all, his awareness and his athleticism. This guy's stretching. To the best of my ability, the best of my knowledge, Coach, his responsibility is that deep third. But he's reading the quarterback. Look at where he's at when that hitch comes. I mean, the fact that he just opens his hips and, bam, he drives on the ball. I mean, that's as athletic of a play as you're going to get from a defender. And, I feel like when you look at it from behind the line of scrimmage too, Coach, I feel like Goff read it pretty good. If you could see Alexander here. I mean, he's looking at Alexander. Alexander's hips are still turned. Right here, he's thinking, I've got the crosser. He's going deep. And look how quick Alexander adjusts. I mean, it don't get no better than that. Now, in hindsight, if you knew Alexander was going to bail on that, obviously you're going to throw that corner route, right? And it was definitely a corner and not a sell, in my opinion. But you probably go into that corner if you know Jair is completely biting on that play. But the way he undercuts that crosser was amazing. Now, I want to point out one more thing so we can kind of be a little bit negative on this play. What in the world is Darnell Savage doing? Coach, this happens every week. I wasn't even trying to highlight Savage on this play. But look at Savage on the pick six return. Look at him right here, 26. Like, what are you doing? Like, you get upfield and hit somebody, right? And now we're going to go back to the all-22. Watch Savage right here, Coach. He's obviously playing the run, right? He's in the run fit right here. He's the safety in the box there. Watch him on this play. Play fake crap. Who in the heck is he covering, Coach? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand it. Like, and you got a leak coming out on that side from the fullback, I believe it was. No, it was actually, the fullback leaks out on that side. And if Goff recognizes Jair turning on that ball and he dumps it off, Savage's back is to the ball. Again, go behind the line of scrimmage. Look at Savage's numbers right here. Look at this. I don't know. Am I being too critical there, Coach? And I'm going to turn it over to you. Is that normal to just say, all right, let me just turn my back to the entire play and I'm going to run out here into the abyss where there's no other players on the field? So let's get your take on it, man. Maybe I'm being too hard on Savage again.
I don't know if you're being too hard on him, but I'm not seeing, exactly what you're seeing, but I'll kind of take you through what I'm looking at. First of all, the really cool thing about this is I'm going to fast forward for the listeners on the pod. I'm going to go to the end zone view first, where we can see, kind of behind the play from the end zone standpoint. The first thing we're going to see is Detroit giving Green Bay a little of their own medicine here. They got a 6-0 lineman front in as well. This tight end that's going in motion is number 70. That's my boy, Dan Skipper, the dude they call Skip, right tackle for Detroit. It was cut a ton of times from NFL teams before he finally got his shot. Got it due to some injury problems that Detroit was having. They got their right tackle back, so now Skip is back to the reserve role, so they're finding creative ways to get him in. You had mentioned the motion before and what that did to this, what we would call most people call it a one-tech, whatever, to the nose and the defensive line. Detroit actually has what they want here. So we're going to watch Quay and the other invert linebackers shift, meaning they're definitely shifting strength. We're seeing the defensive line shift again, meaning they're setting their strength to Skip to that 70. And then when he reverses, they don't have time to reverse that and switch that back. So they caught Green Bay exactly where they wanted them to be. And then technically, if they run this ball, they're +1, right? Because they've got their strength set. You've got Skip coming back to clean up this backside stuff. This is like zone lead back type of look here. So we got hat on a hat football here. If it's not a play fake, then this fullback right here is going to lead up right here to the inside backer, and you're going to be able to run a play called zone lead, which is very similar to ISO, and you're going to hit that seam and go. But Detroit thought they had some tricky business going on. They thought they had him. They had that 6-0 lineman in there to really kind of seal off the deal, and then they wind back the fullback just to kind of help out. So cool little play design. Don't get me wrong. I kind of like the play design. but it was actually just done a little bit better by Green Bay, unfortunately. So it's not quite cover 3 in my understanding. This is, again, we're starting to see Joe Barry really explore some of those Saban tendencies, right? So this is what we call Rip Liz match, or match 3. It's stolen from Saban. And essentially the rules are very, very simple. This corner is going to have outside leverage, playing funnel technique, funneling the outside receiver to the single high safety. It's the same look we have over here with a funnel. And the reason you're playing outside leverage and allowing that stuff to go into the middle is because you've got these route capped by the safety way up here, right? So we've got that route capped. And now when you're playing outside technique, it allows your eyes to get inside. So the corner's rules are, you are man only out and deep unless cross. So we call mood man only out and deep, right? So you've got him man, but this is where some of those zone man rules come into play. You've got him only out and deep. If he goes out or deep, you can take him man, but under cross means you can keep your eyes peeled to any crosser, and that's a good way to take care of sail concepts. It's a really good way to take care of like deep scissors and mesh and stuff like that. So the coverage they have called on here is really, really nicely done, because when he sees the in-breaking route, he knows the safety has him capped, and Jair can then snap his eyes across the field and take first crosser. It's kind of like that invert cover 1 robber stuff that we were seeing a couple of weeks ago, except now it's at the 3rd level. It's with the corners and the safeties. So as soon as he sees that crosser, he can go ahead and take care of that. This concept is a great concept, this little corner concept, as you were saying here. So the outside receiver is going to run a poco or a post corner, and then you're going to get this long mesh underneath it. You're supposed to carry the corner and the safety to the post and then to the corner, and then there's nobody left in this semi-low hole for that long dragging mesh route. Jair and Joe Barry did a really nice job of recognizing that if it is a pass, that's what it's going to be. We're going to be down a man in coverage, so we're going to have to steal a guy from somewhere. Then when you saw 70 come in the game, you're like, all right, they're probably not throwing a deep crosser to him, so we can go ahead and check this sucker off to Rip Liz match, which is what they did. And as soon as you can watch Jair's eyes right here as he's watching this poco start to develop and he's playing his funnel technique, his eyes come in right here. And we can see immediately he's going to go ahead and put a foot in the ground and flip his hips right here and get to attach to that crosser. Not only is he going to attach to that crosser, but he's such a good athlete. He's got such a good first step that he beats the crosser to the ball. So it's not really a trap coverage. It's just a really good coverage call at the right time, a good defensive call at the right time. I don't think this was a film study thing, because I've never seen Detroit put skip in motion before. In a tight end type set. So I don't think there was a tell on this or anything. I just think situationally and personnel wise, they were able to make a pretty good call. And then when they saw 70 go in motion, they were able to make a good adjustment to Rip Liz match.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, it's amazing watching Jair Alexander, and you can really see where he separates himself from other DBs in the game. I mean, you can't coach that athleticism. It's amazing the drive he got on that ball, and to be able to get turned around the way he did. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's 100% healthy, that's for sure, and he's at the top of his game right now. So had a great couple of games these last 2 weeks. Immediately following the Washington game for sure. So, all right, let's get back to some negative. You ready?
Let's go.
There was plenty of it in this game. All right, so up next we have this came in the 3rd quarter, 1:23 left. You're down 0-8. This is immediately following that interception, guys, from Jair Alexander, right? And we're going to jump right into the play where Aaron Rodgers gives the ball right back. It's like these offenses, both of them were just saying, no, you take it. No, you have it. I don't want it. You take it. But 3rd quarter, 9:23, Green Bay's down 8-0, 2nd and 9 play. And this is the interception from Aaron Rodgers. It was picked by the young guy there, Kirby Joseph. You heard Aaron talk in the presser about how it was a great play by Kirby. It was a good play by the defender, by the strong safety. But in my opinion, it was a worse play by Aaron. It was an 11-gun empty, strong right flex. You had the T that was wide right. So let me explain that real quick. 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end. It was an empty look, strong right. The tight end was flex, so he's detached from the offensive line, which you have Tunyon right here. And then you've got the T receiver, which is going to be Aaron Jones up at the very top of the screen, and those of you on the pod were going from right to left. Okay, so it's an empty set. And essentially what the play call was Ohio post dagger is what I would call it. And Ohio is a concept where you have, if you look at the bottom of the screen here, for those of you watching on YouTube and Twitter, you have Sammy's going to run a go route, and then you're going to have an out route underneath it. That's what you call an Ohio concept, okay? And on the other side, you're going to have a post from the tight end, and then you're going to have, along with that, a dagger, which is going to be a deep route, kind of a, I guess it could be considered a corner route. To me, it looked like a go route that was just kind of bent, kind of a fade 9 route, and then the aspect of the dagger is going to be a dig underneath. Now, again, I want you to really key in on the fact that this was a 2nd and 9, guys. 2nd and 9, and it's a 1-possession game, right? And as the play unfolds, what you're going to see at the bottom of the screen, here's the Ohio, right? So you've got Sammy going deep. You've got Amari Rodgers on the out route. There's your Ohio concept. As we roll it back, you've got Tunyon, who's going to try to bend around that mic and get down the seam on that post route. And then, of course, you've got the dagger concept with Lazard going deep. Really looks like a corner right there. They played great outside leverage. And then you've got the dig underneath with Aaron Jones. So the thing that stands out to me here, Coach, I mean, Aaron reads it's too deep right off the bat, right? I mean, he sees the split safeties. There's 2 safeties on the shelf, and he's going to try to hammer this into Tunyon no matter what. I mean, he's just literally, as soon as he clears the backer, one of the things that Aaron always liked to say is, if I see numbers, I'm throwing in that direction. If I see a defender with his back turned, right, then I'm going to that guy. At this point right here, as he finishes his drop, it looks like the backer's going to turn and run with him, but then he faces the line of scrimmage. And to me, Aaron panics. It's like, I'm just going to try to hammer this thing in. And if you watch Kirby Joseph up here at the strong safety position, he's reading Aaron like a freaking book. Undercuts that route beautifully, gets the pick, right? And here's one of those situations, too. There's no reason to press. Like, I want to ask you, too, Coach, do you think this is 2-man under, or is this Tampa 2 coverage? Because the mic does get pretty deep out there, although he didn't run with the seam. He faced up to look like cover 2 man, but I could be wrong. I mean, everybody's pretty much a man on a man, two deep safeties. The only thing that kind of threw me off, of course, the ball was already gone as the free safety breaking back toward the center of the field. Maybe he was just reading Aaron as well. But this is a safe coverage on 2nd and 9. You come out in an empty look. Everything's flexed out wide. For me, it being a 2nd and 9 play, Coach, you got to live to play another down. You either tuck this ball and run it, and Aaron, as you can see right here on this clip, look to the right side in between the guard and the tackle, I believe it unfolds. Let me fast forward here just a touch. You can see as it unfolds, Aaron can tuck this ball and go right there, right? Now, they had a little bit of a defender there, a defensive lineman that's probably going to come off and close that gap. But the biggest part for me is this dig. The dig is there. The dig on the dagger side up top, Coach, it's there. Hammer that thing. You see the 2 safeties on the shelf, and the safeties are playing it perfect. They're going to use that boundary as an extra defender. He's got to either thread the needle outside to Lazard, which they've got outside leverage, so you're not going to see that happen. You've got to try to throw a jump ball to Sammy at the bottom. The out route on the Ohio on the bottom is completely covered up. You hammer that dig there, and you're setting yourself up for a 3rd and short. So this is 100% on Aaron Rodgers. And this is one of those plays I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about, not this play specifically, but just Aaron Rodgers' play on Sunday in general. Yeah, the thumb's injured. We get it. And he's inaccurate. We got it. That has nothing to do with you making the wrong decision. And he makes the wrong decision on this play. You've got to hammer that dig right there. So I'm eager to see what you've got here, Coach. Because to me, first of all, give a little bit of praise to the offensive lineman. I know it's just a 4-man rush, but they held up well, right? I mean, that's as clean a pocket as you're going to see right there. They really held the edge nice, gave him a good pocket. You've got to hammer. And he's even got the throwing lane to throw that dig. But I'm going to turn it over to you and see what you're seeing and explain. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you've seen the same thing. What do you got?
No, man. Honestly, I think you're pretty close to what I'm seeing. We've got 2-man under here. This inside backer here, because it's empty. He doesn't have a threat out of the backfield. So he's not quite playing a spy. He's more of what we call a rat. Again, similar to some of the Saban teachings, where he can go ahead and reroute that number 3 receiver and then just kind of rat the middle of the field. And I'm thinking he's ratting to take away any potential inside release, because we'll see him start to attach to the tailback Jones here. If that if that dig were to be thrown at all, that little drive route by Aaron Jones. But to me, man, I don't like the play call, and you don't hear me say that very often at all. But I don't like it at all. We got your mandatory outside release here. You got your speed out here. This is fade out. This is Ohio, as you mentioned. A lot of people call it a lot of different things. Right. And then you're going to get your post right up here. You're going to tell your tight end, you teach your tight end, especially out of empty. This to us is trips right empty. You're going to get your post to outside of first level, inside of second level. That's all very standard stuff. And then you're going to have your, what we call a bender, and then your dig underneath, as you've already shown everybody thus far. So that's what the concept looks like. Here's the reason I don't like this play call. Okay. It's this cat right here. He's stacked up over the top of your number 2 receiver on the backside of trips. So you got 4 defenders here and 3 defenders here. If you run a fade out concept here, what you call Ohio, who's here to stop this? Like, who's here to threaten this? Who's here to walk him out? If we get this safety walked out of the play, this is absolutely a touchdown. I'll show you why. As we kind of fast forward this thing and watch this play develop, if you get a vertical threat on him, because he's reading number 2, you know what his rules are. It's 2-man. Right? He's reading the number 2 receiver. If you get that and you keep him in this area right here, if he's got a vertical threat and he's got to stay numbers to sideline, look at all the window that we have to throw into here. You can lead Tonyan more. You can put it on the O and let Tonyan go get it because he's bigger, stronger, and faster than everybody else, right? But you don't have that in the play call here. So this safety gets to be lazy. He can trust his corner one-on-one with Sammy Watkins and think that, hey, eventually I can get there over the top of the cradle to help out with that. But the second that this ball is released, his hips are open, and you force a real tight window here. I mean, take a look at this. Now Rodgers has to throw that sucker in roughly 4.5, 5 yard window, and you're chucking this thing from 22. I mean, his release point is 31 yards down the field. Like, that's a real tough closing window to try to put that thing into. Looking back on it, and we can all critique play calls, right? Like, we could do that until we're blue in the face. But the better play call that I see that we like to run out of empty is let these guys run your landmark verticals, right? Tell Sammy Watkins you are running a landmark vertical to the pylon. Tell your inside receiver on the up, I don't, is that Rodgers maybe, that you're taking this sucker onto the numbers. You got to widen out that safety. If he goes middle of the field, you get a touchdown. If he attaches to you, Tonyan gets the touchdown. Then we can put this landmark right in between the hashes. We can keep this bender route on, and then we can do whatever the heck we want to right here, right? We can run our dig. We can run a little whip route, right? We have all sorts of options on this backside here. As long as we can control the safeties. If you can't control the safeties, you can't beat 2-man under, right? So that's what I'm seeing here. I wasn't in love with that play call at all. Definitely need a way to control that backside safety and make that window a lot less tight. Because take a look. Kirby Joseph has all the room in the world to undercut this route, knowing that if I get beat deep, that's fine. I got my buddy over the top to maybe jar that ball loose or at least put a big hit on it and make him earn a touchdown. But he has no regard to that whatsoever. And you're going to be seeing it really, really nicely from the end zone shot here. As this thing develops, Kirby Joseph has absolutely no worries of getting beat deep here. Stepping up, he can run right under this ball. He don't care. Like, if this ball is dropped over the top of him, you got a safety coming in to headhunt to put a little heat on the body. By the time that ball is actually delivered to where Tonyan could have got it, your safety, your backside safety is already on his heels, kind of coming off it, knowing that, hey, Kirby's got a pick. Let's go. So frustrating play call to me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And, Aaron said something, I believe it was in the presser, it was in the presser when he was talking about this play specifically, and it kind of got my attention. And I'm strictly speculating here, right? But he made a comment, something along. He started to say, "Well, yeah, there was a mental mistake on," and he cut himself off. It was like you could tell he was going that, and he was just like, "I've said enough of that. I'm not going to say it." I wonder, after we watch this play develop, did Amari Rodgers run the wrong route? Because I'm with you when you come out and see that right there, and that's another thing too, Coach. Let me go to this right here. Watch. You probably already seen this too. Watch Aaron right here. You see the signal? Mm-hmm. I don't know what he's communicating there, but when he made that comment in the presser, it made me think, okay, somebody didn't run the right route. Now, I don't think it was necessarily that. Maybe that was the signal, that Amari should have ran more of a streak route to hold that safety? I don't know. Again, that's the beautiful thing too. Nobody but the coaches and the players know exactly what the game plan was for this look. Now, I do know that they're coming out in 11 personnel and go to an empty. Their goal was they wanted to catch them off guard by coming out in an empty, right? And threatening to run. Then you come out in an empty, and it's okay. Now we've got them on their heels. And Detroit was not intimidated at all. They said, okay, you want to do that? Cool. We'll just play man up, 2 man under. Let's roll. Let's see what you got. They know, along with everyone else in the league right now, these guys are not going to win one-on-one matchups. I mean, they have this year, but you like your chances. You really do. And you've got Aaron, who's typically safe with the ball. I said this earlier. I can't remember if it was you on a podcast with me or who it was, but I remember in the early days, anytime we played a team that played 2-man under against Aaron, I dreaded it because he was so cautious with the ball that he would take sack after sack after sack and 2-man under because he wouldn't try to force the ball in. For whatever reason on Sunday, he was totally fine with forcing the ball in, and it cost the Packers a win for sure. And why do we do this in sequence, guys? The reason I mention this, and for those of you on the pod, at this point here, we're now to the point in the game that if you do hammer that dig, and let's say you get stopped on 3rd and short with the run on the next play, you kick a field goal, and now you're winning 9-8. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right? If ifs were fists, we'd all be drunk. I get it, but I'm telling you, that's what cost them the game. And Coach, you said it before. You've got to go in that meeting room and say we are not an arrogant football team. And Sunday, they came out and played like an arrogant football team, period. And they got their butts handed to them, and rightfully so. So, all right, we're going to end it with one positive play here, other than the interception, right? This came in the 3rd quarter, 4:53 left. The score, guys, is still 8-0 Detroit, believe it or not. We're about to start the 4th quarter, and it's still 8-0 Detroit. Kudos to the defense for holding Detroit kind of in check and keeping them in this ball game. And that's got to be demoralizing, Coach. You get that huge interception, give them great field position, and 2 plays later, you throw a pick like that. It's ridiculous. And that's on 12. It really is. So 3rd quarter, 4:53, down 8-0. This was a 2nd and 3 play. And this is one that kind of got swept under the rug. Of course, during a loss, nobody wants to talk about anything good. It's always going to be bad. But I really, really like this throw here. This was a touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers to Allen Lazard. And this is going to get it within, 8-6. They go for 2. They don't get the 2-point conversion. But this was an 11 ace, doubles on, strong left, Z-motion tight corner, out and go climb, play action halfback leak. So this is a play fake play. And as everything unfolds, first of all, I want to say I don't like the play call from a sense of putting DeGuara on an island. So as we go to the tape here from the end zone cam, you've got DeGuara out here playing tight end, right? That's your strong left, okay? He's attached. As Aaron drops back to run a play fake, you've got DeGuara one-on-one, and maybe you can shed a little light on this, Coach. I kind of feel like the tackle should have helped on that side, but it's obvious Aaron probably ID'd the mic, said, hey, here's how we're setting everything up. Maybe it was Myers that set it up, but as we go to the play fake here, the play action pass, Aaron turns his back. It's DeGuara against an edge defender, and that edge defender eats his lunch. I mean, it's just a grab and go, and Aaron's going to take a shot here. Bang. I mean, he had time to deliver the football. It was one read and let it rip. That's all he had time to do. But DeGuara getting beat right there. And I've seen people all week long, Coach, talking about DeGuara should have graded out better. DeGuara should have graded out better. And I never seen this play, right? That pass blocking is important at the tight end position too when it comes to grading. But DeGuara on the island gets beat like a drum. There's 0 time. And this is just 12 throwing Allen Lazard open. As we go back to the all-22, Aaron, you're going to see get crushed. Here's the motion that we talked about, the Z motion tight corner. So basically he's going to motion over, get in tight, and then he's going to run a little corner route, right? And I wouldn't even really call it a corner route. What do you call that, Coach, when it's a sharp angle in and a sharp angle out? What would you refer to that route? You got a name for it? Is that just another one of those get open routes?
No, that's crack and go all day long. It's looking like Lazard's going to clean up that backside inside backer in case you get a disconnect or a cutback on that duo type of look. And you see the outside back or the inside backer, react to that. He's putting his hands up thinking, hey, here comes crack, crack, crack. He's thinking he's going to get pegged there, that inverting safety, I guess, not really an outside backer. He's thinking he's going to get cracked by Allen Lazard and duo is going to pop outside of him. So that's definitely crack and go. Really good play design. I really liked what they did here.
Gotcha. Good stuff. So The crack and go, I like it, and we have seen it all year long, guys. You know, me and Ryan were chuckling. This was back in the preseason. It seems like it was 2 lifetimes ago now, back when we were all in a good mood as Packer fans. But we seen Lazard crack all preseason, and it was awesome. It's like, oh, I can't wait to see that. And you know, that's why guys become aware when you know you've got a physical wide receiver that's going to crack, and you can kind of see him flinch, can't you? Like, ah. But again, Lazard, this isn't really bad coverage, in my opinion. You may disagree, Coach, but, I mean, he's running stride for stride with Lazard. 12 puts this ball right where it needs to be. I wish I had the TV copy just to make it a little bit more clear, but you can see, again, Aaron DeGuara getting beat, Aaron taking the shot, and he just throws him open. Look at the placement of that ball right there. You have plays like this where you're like, that's 12. I mean, that is deadly accurate right there, right? But then you get other plays like we seen earlier where you're hitting people in the face mask and obviously underthrowing David Bakhtiari by 6 yards. So you take the good with the bad. But thought we would end it on a positive note with that. That was Green Bay's only score of the day. And to me, this is Aaron being Aaron here, man, with that accuracy. I mean, it's there on the money. But unfortunately, you throw 3 picks. It's hard to remember that one touchdown because, again, I want to put emphasis on, you know, somebody asked in the chat, so what would you say, Clayton? 70% Aaron's fault, 30% LaFleur's for this game plan? You know, the horrible offensive performance? I said more like 80-20. I think it'd be 80% Aaron because, I mean, these are mental mistakes. At this point, you should be up 9-8, and then right here you're going up, 15 to 8, and you got the ball game well in hand. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Coach. What are you seeing here, man?
First of all, you got a real good eye for this stuff. You know, it's real important to ID DeGuara one-on-one against an edge rusher. So nice job on that. I'm going to show you kind of why they, in my opinion, why they did it. And it's a real smart kind of coverage identification and then coverage beater from what we're going to see from Detroit. So as we stand right now, the numbers of the receivers that Detroit is going to key to from corner who's going to stay man to this inverting safety right here. For those on the pod, the strong side safety or the safety to the tight end side is drilling down into the box, thinking run here, and then you're going to hold this backside safety up as a single high safety. So this safety that's drilling down into the box has to identify 1, 2 is the attached tight end, and then 3, the running back. If he happens to come my way, is would be the number 3 receiver. And the cool thing about it as this play develops, and I'll show you here, when you put DeGuara one-on-one and you max pro him, it makes that inverting safety now switch from DeGuara as the number 2 to now A.J. Dillon as the number 2 receiver, that back out of the backfield. Once Josiah DeGuara has to pass pro and is very evidently not going out for a pass, it makes that safety hang out down in the box. And we're going to see why that's so important here in just a moment. He's got to hang out down in the box. He can't just bail back now and provide any under-over coverage simply because his new number 2 receiver is in the box. So kind of a cool way of, you know, getting some max pro, but also kind of messing with some coverage rules. And then by putting DeGuara, or excuse me, not DeGuara, but Allen Lazard in that short motion with that crack and go, it's really going to put that corner in a tough situation because with the crack and go, now the corner is going to get on his backside. And we know in man coverage, really the best way to beat it is to the outside. You know, corners are going to do everything they can in man coverage to take away the inside. We saw that on the first play of the game, or the first play that we went through where Rodgers threw the pick, where they were giving intentionally the receiver the inside and Rodgers thought he had a gift. Well, you don't usually do that in man coverage. You do everything you can to take away the inside, force the more difficult throw. And then when Lazard is able to bend this now with that inverted safety who ends up right here, with him way out of the box, out of the play, that's going to open up just this beautiful window on this crack and go route right here that Rodgers can just start to lay the ball into, and he can throw away from that single high and over the top of the corner. Is it an easy throw? Heck no, especially given the pressure. It's a beautiful throw, just an absolute gem. But it is in the spot where it can be. It's a much safer throw because now you either miss your receiver long and you live to see another down, or you get to capitalize on it. So some kind of cool scheme stuff Full slide protection here from Green Bay, and usually in full slide protection, you use it on a play fake and you bring the back here to seal off the end, where they're going to switch the responsibilities of DeGuara and the back, leak the back out to hold that inverting safety, and knowing that you got that crack and go route. One thing of interest here that is kind of cool is if you didn't have that crack and go, if that safety didn't attach right here to the running back and they blew the coverage, the nice thing is you had it up top with a little Texas switch here by number 83, or 80. I don't even know who this cat is. 83.
It's Samori Toure, yeah.
I'm sorry, who?
Samori Toure, rookie. Yeah.
Just a beautiful, beautiful route, knowing that you've got Sammy Watkins taking over the top. I mean, if this throw to Lazard isn't there, this is definitely your number 2 in your progression. Gorgeous route run by that young man. Got this poor defender all turned around. He looks like a Tecmo Bowl dude right here. He's just skipping backwards, right? He's in trouble. Gorgeous route there, and then Allen Lazard. So don't get me wrong, there is a little bit of hope, right? But this is boiling down to some execution flaws overall, and it's definitely stuff that has got to get cleaned up to get some victories here.
Yeah, no doubt. And what's so cool, Samori Toure, coach, the last 2 weeks, he's showing up everywhere. I know he didn't have a huge stat line. Obviously, he had a touchdown the previous week. Remember the last Chalk Talk? You said, man, whoever this knows how to run a scramble play, that was him. That was Samori Toure.
Yeah,
right? Okay. And the route you just highlighted was rookie Samori Toure. So it just seems like every week something else is coming in the picture. And what's cool is he was a 7th-round pick. So looking like – and he was someone who went to a JUCO, completely excelled, transferred to Nebraska, completely excelled, fell late in the draft, Packers pick him up. A lot of people, and even Donald Driver came out and said, I see a lot of me in Samori Toure, which is really cool. So good stuff, man. Well, as we wrap up, we're pretty much out of time. I wanted to highlight a couple things we were talking about in the chat. Just it got me digging into some numbers. We were talking about how, some of the defenses seem to have caught on to this scheme, right? And the numbers are down, and I did a little study and found out that roughly 40% of the league is running, or they come from the origins of the Kyle Shanahan wide zone boot scheme, right? And we got kind of a little bit of an update. The darling this year that I've noticed, I know you may even get uncomfortable me mentioning gambling. I follow the money. When I look at where the money goes within the gambling world of the NFL, I go, okay, those are the numbers that are probably most important. There's a reason that Vegas can, give away those free drinks with the pretty little umbrellas, right? They know exactly what they're doing. And the statistic that I keep hearing over and over and over is points per play. When we try to gauge offenses, you hear points per game is important. You hear total yardage is important. You hear yards per play is important. One of the new ones that's new to me is points per play. And I kind of broke it down and went through and said, okay, in 2021, let's look at the OGs of this wide zone boot scheme, right? You have Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers, you have McVay with the Rams, and you've got LaFleur with the Packers. Those are the 3 that have really had the most success with it of recent years. In 2021, points per play, the Rams finished 7th in the league. The Packers finished 11th, and the 49ers finished 13th. Fast forward to 2022, the Rams are 28th, the Packers are 27th, and the 49ers are 16th. And it's like, and you can look at the rest of the league and go, well, they're not the only ones running the scheme. That's correct. But you've got some of the young guys that have put their own spin on this scheme, right? And as people spin off, just like McDaniel going to Vegas and kind of doing his own thing now when he left New England. But across the league, some of the young guys, Seattle got their own spin on it. Number 2 this year in points per play. Miami, number 7, which is McDaniels, that was the OC in San Francisco. In Cincinnati, number 9 in the league, points per play. That was, if I remember correctly, that's Zach Taylor, right, that came from the LA Rams a couple years ago. And then in Minnesota, the new darling is Kevin O'Connell. He's 11th in points per play. So you're seeing this new wave of guys putting their own spin on this offense. Now, we talked about the Patriots, and we're going to wrap up right here. The Patriots last year running their old system, their old scheme. In 2021, their points per play was 5th in the entire National Football League. For whatever reason, the hoodie, the GOAT, Bill Belichick said this year, we're going to switch our scheme up. I'm going to put both, gosh, I can't remember their names now. He was the head coach. Joe Judge was the head coach in New York with the New York Giants. He got fired. Bill Belichick invited him right back in the building. Matt Patricia, who was the head coach for the Detroit Lions, back in the building. He put both of those guys on the offense and said, we're going to revamp, redesign this offense, and we're going to the Shanahan wide zone boot, right? Last year, Belichick's old offense, 5th in the league in PPP. In 2022, they've dropped all the way to 14th. And this is Mac Jones excelled last year, right? He was the rookie quarterback that everybody said, man, they missed him. That was the quarterback of the draft. He was smart. He was NFL ready. He was accurate. He can make decisions quick. And it's just, I see all of these similarities across the board, and I'm going, Coach, man, it seems like the league is caught up and we're starting that new cyclical change. You know, you got any thoughts on that as we wrap up?
I mean, defenses are smart. The days of just lining up and pummeling dudes, those are gone. I remember this kind of same thought process in all my studies with the zone blitz way back when I first started coaching, and what it did in the NFL for quite a while. And then people started to learn how to attack with RPO type of stuff and shovels and unders and gap schemes and that sort of stuff. And that's when mesh was really starting to come in, and the air raid was really starting to take over. So now with this zone type of situation, defenses are really learning how to do a good job of, both steal gaps and get their defenders out of conflict. And we saw it on the very first play that we looked at where, duo is a really, really big part of a wide zone scheme. That's essentially your counter play, is to just win double teams, reverse pivot out from under center, or have a designated wind back with your running back. Duo is a really big one to counteract zone. And if you're not having defenders in conflict anymore because you can freeze them and you can give them specific rules for specific plays, you're going to have to figure out a way to really do a good job of conflicting those defenders again. And what Minnesota is doing, which is just so nasty, is they're cheating, and they're cracking that fit freeze defender with a slot receiver, and then they'll go ahead and release him just in case it is an RPO designed for him to leave. So, I mean, they're doing a really good job of blocking him downfield and just, daring the refs to call it. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's great, man. And again, it kind of goes without saying, but if you don't like change, what's the old quote? If you don't like change, you're gonna like irrelevance even less. And it kind of feels like those three coaches are stuck they're trying to hammer this along and stay in this. And the young whippersnappers are coming in going, hey, let's have a little bit of fun. Now, I will say it does help that in Seattle you've got a baller like DK Metcalf stretching the field. In Miami, you've got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. In Cincy, you've got Jamar Chase. In Minnesota, you've got Justin Jefferson. Who does Green Bay have? Right? Who does the 49ers have? Right? And then who does the Rams have this year? You've got Cooper Kupp, but he's not that guy that's going to take the top off the field, off the defense, So it's going to be interesting, man. As much as I love the Packers, I love the game of football a lot more, and I just love watching things kind of cycle through and adjustments that are made. And, man, I cannot thank you enough for joining me tonight, dude. I learned so much from you. As always, dude, you're a freaking blessing. Appreciate you. I know you've had a long day, and it's always a blast to talk ball with you, bro.
No, I look forward to this all the time, man. It was absolutely my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to get out of here. Again, thank you guys for hanging out with us here on Twitter and YouTube. Also, thank you for listening on the pod there. You're on the ground on Thursday afternoon. Hope you guys have a great day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack Go.